Hey YouTube, it's raining here. I've been making some videos lately to try to document what I've been going through and also what I've been learning, which is I'm learning quite a bit about GABA receptors, pharmacology, and brain chemistry. And there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of contradictory theories. So I'm actually on my way to see a psychiatrist for the first time in many years, but what I'm getting at is it's very confusing. Most psychiatrists don't have a clue, and it's very difficult for people like us, people that are suffering, to deal with these things. So my biggest issue is the downregulation of receptor sites and also the evolution of anxiety disorders. So many studies show that there is virtually zero anxiety and depression in people in different cultures, that it's really an American phenomenon, which is backed by clinical studies from multiple research grants and studies. And what's interesting about it is they use the same Hamilton, D, and rating systems. There's several different rating systems that they use to diagnose people in America. So a lot of people say, oh, well, they don't know what this stuff is. Well, yeah, we do. So one school of thought would be that our lifestyle, our culture, our diet, everything sort of coalesces into this perfect storm to create mental disease, which I'm a proponent of that theory. And then you have, obviously, if you have people that may have suffered from excessive fear response as children in their formative and adolescent years, this could lead to certain imbalances in your brain chemistry, whether it's serotonin or GABA, which seem to be the main types, because those are your inhibitories. So if they're constantly being told to produce, they can sort of experience an atrophy of sorts. And I'd also like to preface the rest of this by saying that I'm not a doctor, but I have read many medical books, and a lot of what I'm saying is from doctors' books, notes, and research studies. So I'm not a doctor, but everything I'm saying is based off of about 5 years of self-study, and self-experimentation with different supplements such as amino acids, herbals, and also being on medications, and then reading thousands of stories, emails, and having phone conversations with people from every type of, whether it's alcohol to benzo withdrawal to opiates and other. So I consider myself a pseudo anecdotal expert in these things, so for what that's worth. So yeah, you have that school of thought. You have two different ways there that can cause those things. One school of thought is that these things could be genetic, that you may be genetically predisposed to having less GABA, for example. And if you have less GABA, you're going to have anxiety disorder. You're going to inevitably find alcohol or some type of GABA drug, and it's going to feel great, and you're going to feel normal. And when that normalizes you, you become addicted. You become dependent, which is what, according to this new book that I'm reading about balancing neurochemistry from a doctor who has helped over 4,000 people in his clinic get off of opiates and alcohol, which is his main specialties, but he does talk a lot about benzodiazepines as well. He's definitely an expert, and what he said sort of has thrown a lot of what I have come to believe. It's thrown a lot of that into the trash. Not the trash, but it's a different paradigm, and I'm struggling to reconcile these different paradigms. I mean, what's the truth? Maybe it's all the truth. So that's why I have a hard time in finding treatments that are going to work for me, trying to find out the science. So is it because of my abuse as a child that I became, big into drinking at 13? And then, through college, I had to drink to sort of feel normal. I mean, I guess I felt normal. I just had this sort of underlying anxiety, depression that to me was normal. So I've never not had that. But then obviously depersonalization and panic disorder that ensued eventually was completely way outside of normal comfort. So anyway, so that's sort of what I'm struggling with within that. And then there's the whole benzo receptor sites. I kind of have a good grasp on it now. I got to see some cool videos and get some detailed discussions about that. I understand now, I guess, receptor sites would be holes in a wall, and your neurotransmitters would be the balls that go into the hole. If you only have one hole and 5 balls, you can see you have a ton of neurotransmitters but not enough receptor sites. So essentially downregulation would be, if you're supposed to have 5 at your baseline, and then through benzo use you now have only 1, takes a while for those receptor sites, typically months, sometimes years. I was 34 months off benzos, and I don't feel any better now than I did. I can't say that. I do, and I have good days, but I just thought by now I'd be 100%. So for me, it's a realization that I've always had anxiety, and I might have a genetic mutation or possibly a behavioral defect in my GABA receptors. Gabapentin tends to make me feel pretty loopy. I mean, it honestly probably saved my life. And it's sad because it's definitely not, I'm not saying it's a cure-all. I didn't like the way that I felt. I felt very manic. I was taking that with St. John's wort when I got off benzos. At about 6 or 8 weeks, my skin was burning so bad it felt like I wanted to just peel it off. I've suffered from so much debilitating pain for so many years, and gabapentin took away all my pain, and also was controlling my anxiety, which I think was also having an impact on my brain. I'm controlling it. So yeah, gabapentin definitely had its use, but then I tried to come off of it because I wanted to be med free, and then eventually, because it's a GABA analog, works for some people, not for some. To me, it almost worked like Xanax. It actually was working better than the Xanax was, because obviously the Xanax at that certain point was just making everything worse. So but I ended up tapering down, and then things got really bad again. So I haven't been able to get off gabapentin, but if I get to a steady level, and then I sort of just go in at sometimes typically 300 to 500 milligrams a day, I find myself doing okay. Like lately I've been taking 200, I've been probably taking about 500 a day. I take 200 at night, and then about 300 throughout the day. Pop them like a Xanax, sort of as needed if I start to feel anxiety. But overall, it's, sorry, I got some damn construction here. Overall, it's, oh shit. it was getting better for a while, and I thought I was pretty much on my way. But then I started having issues again, and I didn't want to go up on the Gabapentin, so I've sort of been holding steady at, I say what keeps me functional, but I haven't had a good day where I just feel good, where I just wake up and feel, oh man, I feel good today. I've never had that. I wake up feeling pretty restless, pretty irritable almost every day. I just want to, I don't ever act on it, but I just want to like punch a hole in the wall. These are things I would act on when I used to drink, but I haven't drank in quite a long time, quite a few years. So, but throughout the day, sometimes I'll feel a little bit better, especially after I run. It really does help. I feel pretty great. I feel tired, but I usually feel pretty great. But only if I run at night, like 5 or 6 o'clock. If I run during the day, it just makes me feel horrible. I tend to feel worse during the day, and then at night, I just sort of, after my run, I just look forward to those times because I feel tired, but I feel okay. I feel better. Well, I decided that I wanted to stop messing with my glutamate or my GABA, so I said, you know what, why don't I flip the script and then try to slow down my NMDA or my glutamate response. Maybe that'll help my GABA heal. And there's a lot of science backing that up. So I got on lamictal and had some increased anxiety. I had some unpleasant side effects, mostly like ear pain and nasal issues. Went away. When I got up to 50 milligrams, and I was taking Gabapentin, and I had popped a SAMe. I popped SAMe here and there. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I had this one day where I felt the sun shining down on me, and I just felt like I was healed. I was like, oh my gosh. I just feel alive. I feel okay. I don't feel scatterbrained. I feel aware. I feel present. I went down to the beach, sung some songs on the way with my wife, a cappella style. I still felt, a little bit of tension, irritability, but I was like 90% better. And a couple days after that, even, I felt good. I felt like I had energy for the first time. I think a lot of my problem was I just was so tired, sedated for so many years. And having energy just a little bit, but not like anxious energy, just felt really great. So I thought I was there again, and I didn't want to be on more than one med. I had was willing to say, okay, well, I'll be on one med. I didn't want to be one of those people with a signature line of 7 medications to balance them out. So I started trying to come off the Gabapentin, but nope, that wasn't going to work. And eventually I sort of just reached a point where I started getting really, really depressed and down and dark again. And I know 50 milligrams, which is what I was at of the lamictal, isn't a very high dose. But as soon as I went up to 75, I went into this horrible panic spin. And that's what sort of took me away from that and made me think I got to come off this. So that's sort of where I am. Kind of, I'm still on 50 of that. Yesterday I took 32, but 37. But yeah, I'm kind of holding in that range. I went to see a psychiatrist, and she gave me some Klonopins 0.125, and I did a lot of studies or looking at ratings, and I said, you know what? I gotta take this. I don't care if it gives me 15 years. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I've already lost so many years with my late 20s, mid to late 20s, and now my early 30s. I'm 32. I just turned 32, and I don't want to waste my 30s. Oh, and that book I'm reading talks about receptor sites also, that they heal, but once they're healed, taking a long time, if you put stuff back in there, to affect them, like benzos, then basically they can come down regulated very quickly once again. So I had that concern. I've taken that 0.125 for like maybe 5 of the past 7 days, and I don't want to do it anymore. I'm scared to mess something up. So I'm looking at baclofen and Camprol, and some of these GABA modulator medications that don't mess with the receptor sites. And that's what I'm hoping to see the psychiatrist today, to see if we can get on, she can help me out, and manage some of these medications that I've been trying to manage for myself for so long. And believe me, I've tried everything from St. John's wort, Cola, everything you can mention. Probably 1,000 things over the past 5 years. Inositol, GABA, Picamillion, Phenibut. Didn't really take Phenibut much because that's just as dangerous as Xanax. But I've also read a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that do so well on Klonopin. They've been on. I've read this girl said she'd been on for 30 years and she never upped her dose and she felt great. So it's not everybody that has these. Everyone has different neurotransmitters. It's just like a fingerprint. Everyone's is unique, depending on your neurochemistry and your genetics. So anyway, I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. I'm hoping to get on something today, or get some type of balance going. Thanks for listening, and hope you subscribe, and we'll get through this together. God bless.